we'll have this discussion.
Discussion? What discussion?
This is a discussion.
Combustion. Coming to you from Denver, Colorado. This is Discussion Combustion Podcast with your hosts, Kevin Batstone and Arthur Raw.
Like a gajillion years.
So let's ask you an honest question. When was the last time you restarted the computer?
Oh man,
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Yeah,
I think I restarted it about a week ago.
okay.
Should I do
not
that?
Horrible.
That's not bad. I mean, everything seems to be working.
No, you're good right now. But like,
Okay.
it's funny because a lot of times whenever I deal with issues, I'm just like, all right, let's just give it a restart.
Yeah,
And then for some reason, it's like, okay, I just needed to sleep for a second.
That's troubleshooting 101. Unplug everything. Let's reboot it. Let's see what happens, and then we'll troubleshoot from there. That's step one.
That's
I feel
right.
like.
What is and what
I think you're right.
they say that technology also needs to rest too. Like, you know, when it's in the sleep mode, like it's still technically on, right? So just like everything else, you have your on times, you have your off times, and so it's good to restart and actually just turn it off and like leave it off for like several hours or a day or whatever. You know?
Yep.
I mean that just
Keep
makes
the longevity.
sense to me. That makes total sense to me. I need rest. We all need
Yes.
rest. Why wouldn't my robot overlord here need rest as well?
So you rocking a Macintosh or you got Windows up in there? The Mac.
No, I got a Mac. Yeah, I got a MacBook, something or other. I don't know.
Do you run Logix on it?
I do have Logic
Oh,
loaded on this.
I fucking love that recording software, man.
That's good for music.
Yeah,
It's so
same
good.
here. Yeah, I don't.
so good.
I hardly ever use this one, but in my control room, I'm in a music studio right now. So in the control room, I've got a Mac Studio with that and Cubase and Ableton and all kinds of other stuff loaded on
nice.
there. So we run everything from in there. That's why this laptop just doesn't get a whole lot of love. But yeah,
That's fair. I dig the
Hopefully.
studio setup, man.
thank you so much. I
Yeah,
like
it looks
yours too.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, we have fun.
When I was watching some of your other clips, man, and you guys had ferns behind you, I just thought, my God, they're literally between two ferns right now. This is
We were just joking about that earlier, actually.
Well, technically, this one's just like a vine, right?
Yeah, we were just, because we have a
Right.
black background in the studio, so we were trying to break up.
I think this one is a fern.
That one is a fern for
And,
sure.
and I don't.
It's fake, though.
We haven't busted this out, but like
We got critters.
We have all these.
We have fake
All
critters.
these fake fucking.
oh nice.
And so at our old office, it's kind of a funny story. Like one of the cleaning ladies had discovered that we have all these fake bugs like in the plants, and so they would move the bugs around. Like
just to mess with us.
we would come
Oh
back
my
in,
gosh.
and the bugs would be in different spots and shit. It is
Yeah.
funny, man. It's those little
good
things.
on them. Good on them.
Yeah, you got to have fun with it for sure. And
That's
yeah,
right.
that, we try to, like your studio there, you kind of set it up with, you got the flag back there. You got a really cool look to it. And we kind of try to do the same with ours. So, for the folks that are listening, I would encourage you to watch so you can kind of see this pretty cool studio. And welcome to the program. How do you say your last name, man? I don't want to mess it
Yeah,
up.
it's tough.
It's Dufresne. It
Dufresne.
looks like
See that?
looks like Dufresne, but yeah, it's like Andy Dufresne from Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
Dufresne.
That's
Is that French?
It is French. Yep.
Okay.
French.
I am not
Well-
French, but got a French last name.
It's a cool
Boom.
last name, man. Welcome to the program,
so much.
Mr. Rob Dufrense. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Thank you so much for having me.
And shout out to Nate, man, over there at Husky Buff. The amount of referrals he sent our way is pretty cool. What a solid lad. We know he's tuning in. And you're down in North
He's
Carolina
awesome.
as well, right?
I am. Yep.
Okay.
Is that where
Southern
you're from
Pines, North
originally?
Carolina. No, I was actually born in Honolulu, and my dad was
Okay.
in the Army. And so, yeah, I was an Army brat. We moved from beautiful Oahu to Fort Benning, Georgia, which is also beautiful in its own way. And we did that when I was a kid. So I didn't even grow up there. Don't have any family back there, but I like to go there on vacation. And, during my time in the Army, I went there plenty of times for both vacation and for work. So it was really nice to
I've
get
never
back
been.
there. I think it's
Yeah, I gotta
paradise,
go.
man. Yeah,
Well,
you got to get
can we
there,
go
bro.
ahead and just respect to all the loss that happened out there recently? Like, let's hope
That's
that those
right.
recovery efforts, reconstruction efforts, are all going good. So, hearts out
Yeah.
to Hawaii
Yeah, they're definitely hurting
for
out
this
there.
one, real quick,
with the
man. Since
fires.
that's where you're born.
Yeah, there's a lot going on
100%.
with that, man. A lot of things don't quite add up with those fires. I'm not really going to get into a lot of that, but either way, it's no good.
Yeah,
What
that's right.
do you have some input on? We have talked conspiracies in the past. Yeah, I don't know if we need to go into that.
I don't,
Conspiracies
but
can
I'm
be fun,
fine
but
talking about it. Yeah, I follow a guy called Son of Oahu, and on social media, he's just kind of a cultural guru, and not having grown up there or living there right now. I mean, I follow the guy, and just a lot of really cool cultural things, historical things, and yeah, he's got all kinds of ideas that he doesn't necessarily entertain, but he's like, we don't know yet, so for everybody out there, I mean, by all means, keep talking about that stuff. Eventually, we have to figure it out. And if it was something that kind of is a borderline or centerline conspiracy theory at this point, I mean, why not talk about it?
Have you heard? Have you
You're
heard
right.
some of the? Have you heard some of the things kind of spilling around about people's theories on what's going on out there and how these fires started?
I've heard a number of them. Everything from like it was some sort of an inside job, an outside job.
I've heard lasers.
Lasers, that's right. Directed energy weaponry.
Direct energy weapons.
Used.
Yep.
I have no idea. But I thank you so much. And you're right to just draw attention to the fact that, those people are hurting. There's a lot of loss. It's very tragic. And the biggest thing that they need from all of us right now is just support and, well wishes and material help to just save additional lives, memorialize people that were lost, and get to the bottom of this, help them rebuild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more for sure. I mean, the most important thing is people did, they lost their home, they're hurting, and that needs to be front and center. These people need help. Definitely thoughts with Hawaii for sure. The investigation piece will come later. We'll get to the bottom, whatever it is. That doesn't much matter how it happened. The most important thing is how do we move forward and get these people back on their feet?
Yeah. Look, I mean, we do a podcast here, so we do talk a little bit conspiracy stuff, and it gets interesting. But the fact does remain that once these fires started occurring, it really did make me start thinking about how fortunate my circumstances are, because you would think, oh, they live in Hawaii, like what a great life, like what a fortunate time, aren't they blessed, and this and that, and then something tragic like this happens in an unexpected place. It's a little, it goes to show you that like nowhere is truly safe, like, right, like anything could happen at any time, anywhere. And when all that went down, it kind of just made me count my blessings a little bit. And I feel like that's something I should probably be doing without those sort of reminders, right? So
Yeah,
that's kind of where it brought my headspace. But it's a good way to start the show, way to be heartwarming. Now with the music, because you're obviously in a studio, you do music. Yeah. What brought you into that life originally? Like how'd you get into it?
Well, when I was a kid, my parents got me into music lessons, and gosh, I probably started, I guess, around third grade or so, and I just really took to the drums. I got a Animal the Muppet drum set, drum heads made of paper, tore those up like by Christmas afternoon. But I really enjoy playing the drums and percussion. Through my education, all the way through high school, really, I stuck with it. We kind of had to be in the schools that I went to. You sing in chorus, you play an instrument, even if you're not good at it, you don't have to keep it up, but you're going to get introduced to that sort of thing, which I really value. I'm very thankful for that. And then I joined the Army when I was 17, and I stayed in touch with music, kind of. I was in and out of bands for 26 years on active duty, and then an additional
26 years you were active.
26, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
thank you for your service.
Yeah, appreciate
thank you
that,
so
man.
much. Well, appreciate you guys. The thing was, there were some really key people in my life while I was in the Army who kind of kept me into music. So I was in and out of bands here and there, some serious, not very serious, but these days, having been retired, um, I couldn't be more thankful for it. Music is good for the soul, it's good for the brain, and like I'm hooked. So I'm just very thankful that I still have it in my life, and it's brought a lot of really good things in my life, good people in my life, and yeah, man, it's good for me, I think. So
Now,
I think it's good
is
for
there
everybody.
is there one particular moment where you were just slamming these drums at cadence and like had everyone going? Like, is there like one moment that really stands out to you that you'd like to share?
Man, I mean, the thing is that the answer is yes. The short answer is yes. The long
Mini
answer,
moments.
there are just so many moments, and I could talk. I mean, I could talk for hours about those kinds of moments, and I can kind of. I mean, just you mentioning it transports me in my mind's
Mhm.
eye. I go there immediately. For me to articulate that in a way that's like not boring for your viewers, I don't know. I don't know if I could pull that off, but for sure, a lot of those moments, like in golf, when you have that one good shot out of it, just crap round. I mean, those moments kept me coming back, and I'm thankful for that.
Well, what's great about music is like you know, kind of saying it's like the soundtrack to life. You know, it's good for the mind, the body, the soul. It's fantastic. Art and I both have a background in music. I was able to play with a band here in Denver for a while called the Ridge Runners, and got to play Rockstar for a bit. Man, I loved it. That's
Oh,
what we were doing
nice.
before starting this project. So you know, I always love talking to musicians and guys that, you know, create and just kind of picking brains on how it all comes together, you know, because playing in a band, it takes commitment, it takes work, it takes constructive criticism. There's so much stuff. And that's why we see so many bands fall apart. It's hard to find a group of guys that are going to get together every week consistently and have the same vision, you know, and the same drive to show up, to produce music, to record music, to whatever, to performing. I mean, you know
God,
all about it.
so
You've been in
right.
this business a lot longer than I have. So gigging out, all that stuff, man, it takes that commitment, but it brings you a sense of fulfillment and joy.
So true. So true. So, what instruments do you play?
So I was a rhythm guitar player. I have a Martin, the DB
Nice.
series, fantastic, beautiful guitar, and I was lead vocals for the Ridge Runner. So I did a little singing,
Oh,
little
nice.
little lead guitar playing. Man, a lot of fun. I still like to pick after a couple few beers, man. I'll pick the guitar up off the wall and start jamming a little bit, just have some fun with it. I'd love to get back into it. My lead guitar player Jamie, who if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here, right? Long story for folks that have been following us. He was fantastic. We had a music studio in his basement that then we built a podcast studio, and that's kind of where this started.
Oh,
And him and I would
nice.
get together and just start jamming, man. We just write tunes. We brought in one of his buddies as a drummer. We brought in a bass player. We're like, let's turn this thing into a band. So it was a lot of fun to have had experienced that. COVID hit, of course, and then that kind of shut that down. This started taking off, so this kind of took my priority. But man, I love music for sure, and I want to get back into playing again, even if it's just an acoustic show on a bar. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
No, y'all did good. Some good songs. Um, I got a mic on my chest, MC underneath that, and I'm a lyricist at heart, right? So,
Love it.
I'm more of I'm a rapper. I'm poetic rhythmist is
Nice.
what you can call
Nice.
me.
Yeah.
I've always been an honest rapper though. Like I'm not like saying shit that I don't do. Like I say some real shit on there.
I
And
got
so
you.
that brought me into digital music because it's hard to trust and it's fun to create. So I used to make a lot of beats and stuff. I've been out of that for a while. This podcast does kind of scratch that same itch that I originally had when I wanted to be like a lyricist, because for me, music is awesome, right? Music sets the tone, music sets the energy, the
Mm-hmm.
instrumental sets the tone and the energy.
Absolutely.
And then the lyrics can complement that. And for me, I always wanted to write lyrics that were open ended, and that way anyone could relate, and talk about
Yeah.
things that were real because everyone's going through something, and talk about it in a way that is hopeful because there's a lot of doubt and negativity in life, but there's still that light that shines bright. If I could get that out, So I always wanted to do that with music. And with this podcast, I've talked about like overcoming addictions and all this other stuff. And, you know, you kind of get that same, it kind of scratches the same itch. I still freestyle daily. Kevin still plays the guitar. But yeah,
Good.
creating is fun. Like doing this, creating the promo clips, doing
It's
like
fun.
the thumbnails, like
Yeah.
Mixing the showdown once we complete it. Just creating is fun.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure you can relate to this, Rob,
Yeah,
being in your
man.
studio, you know, going back, listening to some tracks you cut, whatever, like just that alone, that piece of it is so rewarding. And it's like, okay, now I want to do it again. You know, it keeps fueling it a little bit. I'd be curious to kind of hear your perspective on that and how you break it down and, you know, when you guys practice, record, whatever, like what that process looks like for you guys.
Man, there's a lot to unpack there. I first of all, I would echo everything both of you guys said. There's just something about music, you know, being creative, making something, you know, I mean, gosh, I have taken days to write songs before with my band Bones Fork. And then there have been times when, you know, a song just has written itself in like a minute or a few minutes. And it makes it onto an album. And that's so gratifying. But you just never know when it's going to flow out of you. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but the meaning of songs. You know, I would imagine most songwriters, not all, but most songwriters, like there is a story there. So as a lyricist, you are telling a story. It doesn't necessarily have to be a scripted thing and, you know, where you come out after it and say, announce to the world, this is a song about, you know, X. And that's all it is. I know that's not the case for you because you already mentioned it. But, you know, people, when you reach somebody, either through the instrumentation, the tone, or the lyrics of a song, man, there's just something magical about that. I mean, it's happened to me. I believe it's probably happened to everybody, even for people who don't necessarily think about music in that way. But, you know, they like a song for whatever reason. They like to dance a song. Music,
Yeah,
can
whether
move
they
you.
know it or they don't know it,
Man,
it's tapping into their subconscious. One song that I really like that Kevin, you were the songwriter on it, was "Waiting on a Phone to Ring," and it's kind of about getting over a breakup. You kind of go into the bars, you know, you're waiting on a phone to ring, and you tell this story, and by the end of the verse, third verse, it's like, you know what, I'm not waiting on a phone to ring. You know, and you kind of went through those phases.
dude,
It's fun because you get 3 verses, right? So it's like beginning, middle, end type shit. You got to write it out.
Yeah, that was a fun song to write. And shout out to Shannon Whitehead for co-writing that with me back in 2014. We had a lot of fun telling that story and creating this. You know, I like music that's very relatable. I listen to a lot of country music, that, you know, tear in your beer kind of music stuff, you know, bluegrass. I love a wide variety of music. And I love when I, you know, can hear a song. And there's some songs, you know, I used to tell my ex-girlfriend this all the time, that I just love the musical progression of it. I love the guitar solo. I love, you know, whatever the percussion pattern, the bass line here, but I don't necessarily love the lyrics, so to speak. I just love the sound of the instruments. It's like, you know, the meaning behind the song is so dark and this and that. It's like, yeah, but the song is so beautiful. So I think there's so many components to music, whether it is the lyrics that's telling the story or this incredible guitar solo that goes into it. You can appreciate music from so many different angles.
so true. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. About sometimes the instrumentation, the music itself, is what reaches you. I think that's oftentimes the case, especially these days. You know, I mean, I feel like gone are the days when you used to get, you know, your vinyl and you pull it out and put it on the record player, or even CDs and tapes when they used to have, you know, fold out jackets and they had like all the lyrics to the songs.
Awesome. I missed.
Oh my God. I would
that
just
was
nerd
the
out.
shit back.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Man.
You'd buy the double disc shit, and it came with the fat ass manual that had all
That's
the
right.
lyrics. And
Yeah.
dude, what?
It would sneak right in on like the little lip on the
Yeah.
CD case.
I remember
That's
when
right.
they started skimping on that, and with video games too, they started skimping on video game manuals too, where it was just like, here's the digital copy fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck?
They
is
just
that?
expect people to look it up now at this point.
Yeah,
But my
just scan the
point
QR
was,
code.
Yeah,
that's
sorry,
right.
sorry.
No,
I'll start
you're fine,
rambling.
you're fine.
Thank you. Keep me on track. Keep me on
I'm
track.
gonna,
Yeah, go ahead,
I'll
Rob.
totally ramble too, brother. The thing is, like, there were definitely times, there were tapes that I was listening to or records I was playing where I just didn't feel compelled to reach into the jacket and unfold it and try and find the lyrics, because for whatever reason, the music didn't connect with me. It was almost always the case where it's the music that hooked me, and then it just made me, it sparked my curiosity. Like, I have to know what this guy's saying or this girl's saying.
Mhm.
And yeah, it always paid off,
It's
man.
the music. It's
Yeah.
the music that moves us.
That's right.
I don't know where I heard that. I don't know where it came from.
Well,
It's the music that moves us.
and it brings us together too. They're like, again, I'm sure, Rob, you've heard Oliver Anthony right now, the #1 song in the country. I'm sure you've had a chance to hear it at this point.
Man.
Richmond, north of Richmond. What I like about this guy is, I know he's getting a lot of attention. He was just on Joe Rogan today, which I haven't had a chance to listen to. So,
nice.
I'm planning on listening to that for sure. I like this guy though. I like Oliver Anthony because a couple of reasons why, and then I'll get your guys' opinion. He turned down an $8 million deal. He said he didn't want to tour. He likes being in the woods, and he says, this wasn't a one side or the other politically. This wasn't written against conservatives. It wasn't written against liberals. He goes, this is just talking about everybody in Washington, D.C., right? He's not taking sides here. And we've kind of seen conservative media take it like, oh, we're going to use this. We saw it at the Republican debate last week. That's the first song they played, and then asked these candidates about it. And I just kind of like where he's standing with it. It's incredible the success that he's had with this song. I mean, it went to #1 in the billboards like immediately. And over 40 million views, I think, to date. And it's an incredible story. And he's a fantastic musician. So shout out to Oliver Anthony for the folks that haven't heard it.
Yeah, I agree. Musician, songwriter, vocalist. I love this. I love his voice too. I love a lot of the vocal choices that he makes, because, he could have sung it one way or another, but yeah, I like that guy. From what I've seen about him and some of the interview clips that I've seen, much of it from his own channel, him just getting on there and talking to his phone, talking to the people about how the song has been received. I really like, and I think that his decision, which I'm sure is rooted in his personality and belief system, to not choose a side and just, sing about what he's singing about and leave it open so that it doesn't, he's not poking any one person in the chest, party in the chest. I mean, he is definitely poking people in the chest, as he should be. And I think that's one of the reasons why it connects with people so much. I totally agree. But yeah, it doesn't really matter what party you're affiliated with. That hits home. Like, it's legitimately.
So I don't think I've heard this song.
You haven't heard Richmond, north of Richmond?
I don't think I've heard
we
it.
should take a break. So you, what? I'm just joking.
Yeah, it's like the
watch.
Really nice.
It's going to be one of those things, because you don't know this about me, Rob. The listeners definitely know me, but like, I don't know much pop culture unless if I'm actually interested in it.
Okay,
so Oliver
Anthony.
I don't know. I was thinking Oliver versus Oliver for some reason.
Yeah, he's
like fighting himself in a certain extent. But
yeah,
no, I'll probably check it out.
We'll listen to it after the show.
But what I can tell you about this song without ever knowing if I listen to it or not is that, because you mentioned open-ended lyrics, which I like stuff like that. It makes people think a little bit. There's different ways to interpret it. When you write lyrics open-ended, there is infinite interpretation options. So whoever is listening to it, however they feel that day, can see it however they want. And that creates a powerful song. And for something to kind of stir the chord, and look, people should be getting poked in the chest, like my life's easy, like Rob, like your life's easy. Like Kev, you got it good. like, or something like we're not getting beat up out here.
Right.
Like,
Right.
yeah.
Well,
Everyone has a target on their back to a certain extent.
absolutely. And I think, again, that's
Right.
another reason why this song resonates really well with it's not even about blue collar or white collar. It's about just Americans in general. I think are fed up with what's going on, in our government and what's going on in their communities. And I think this song kind of speaks volume to that. It's not isolating one or the other. It's not, I don't think it's, dividing anybody. We saw it happen with Jason Aldean a few weeks back with his, small town song.
That's what I was about to think about. And then he all gets canceled and like pulled off all these other things. And I did listen to that song for sure.
Yeah.
And I didn't see anything wrong with that song. It's like, why are people being so sensitive about defending, like, I don't know, man. It's a powder keg of a subject.
Yeah, it really is.
Rob, what are you thinking on this one, man?
Well, on the Jason Aldean song, I also did not find anything wrong with it or offensive. But these days there are a whole lot of people who are determined to find reasons to be outraged, and where there is not a reason to be outraged, they'll oftentimes make one up, and even if it's a stretch,
it's like
it'll get picked up and it'll get broadcast.
They're like addicted to being upset. And actually, I was reading a book, The Four Agreements. A lot of people have heard of this book. And they talk about how it's a poison that humans have within us to communicate gossip. And it's actually like a foundation to human conversation is gossip. But truly, gossip is like a poison, like a mental poison.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but people are addicted to that. Like they wake up, they're looking at the magazines, they're like, where's TMZ at? Like, what's going on with this celebrity drama?
It's nonsense is what it is. It's total nonsense. And we talk about this a lot on the show with social media, with just the indoctrination. I mean, people put on the news and they hear, this Jason Aldean song is offensive and it's racist and all that. And there was some connotations that were taken from the music video that could be viewed that way. But as far as the lyrics go, it's just basically, and then there was people were calling him a hypocrite because he's from Macon, Georgia, which is a town of like 150,000 people, which technically isn't a small town. But again, it goes back to what we were just talking about, telling a story, being the voice for people. Like, just because he's not from a small town, quote unquote, doesn't mean that the song doesn't still carry value.
That's right. That's right. And I think it's ridiculous. I think people, they draw the right kind of attention to themselves for the right reasons when they do that. When you are trying so hard doing cheetah flips to try and manufacture a reason to be outraged about something, everybody picks up on that. I mean, it might not be translated through social media or mass media, but people pick up on it because they're smart. It pains me when people do pick up. I know they pick up on it, yet they still kind of make that decision to jump on the bandwagon and shit on this person or this cause or whatever. And, it's so easy to call things offensive or racist or whatever if you have an agenda. I don't think there's anything wrong with that song. And I don't find any problem with any literal inconsistencies between the voice that he uses in writing, having written that song, and certainly singing the song in real life. Who cares? It's a concept, and it's a concept that a lot of people find to really resonate with them, like you said. Sure. And people get behind things that resonates with them. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. About Oliver Anthony, though, I don't think that my gosh, that should be a unifying song, for all of us. I would think. I am not happy with, the state of our body politic, and both sides have committed sins against the people who elected them, and my gosh, it's kind of amazing to me how corrupt things are right now.
I mean, look, we're born into a society where we need to, we have to have money. We have to play by the rules, or else we're like chilling on the streets. So like we're born into a society, right? And that's something that we have to overcome and deal with. But it's interesting with doing this podcast for over 4.5 years and talking to so many people. And our mission statement here, just so you know what it is, Rob, is to include anybody and everybody. So we talk to people who are like we would talk to a janitor if they felt comfortable on a mic and they wanted to say something. We would talk to a mayoral candidate, whoever it is. We will give that space to people, but we will be critical so we can ask tough questions. We will be accepting so we don't corner you, and we're going to be loving so we could just relate, right? And one thing I've learned after doing that for 4.5 years is, since we're talking about this division that is in this country and many other countries, when you get people in the same room, anytime I've sat down with somebody and we act and like across the table, or even Kevin, I don't agree on everything, and you have respect, you can disagree about everything and still respect that person. And I feel like that is the biggest component that is actually missing, is this level of you exist. We both need to eat food. We both want to feel some sort of socialization. Humans are social creatures. And we need shelter. Like those are the 3 essentials.
Yeah.
And everybody needs that. So it's regardless of how we disagree, we're all still on this planet. And doing this podcast has really helped me see that. But it's also helped me see that when people are disagreeing, or like how it's such a big waste of energy, it's a waste of mental space. It's a waste of conversation, because you can be having more meaningful conversations with loved ones, peers, friends, whoever, coworkers, by removing these negative stigmas, which are ultimately gossip and like non-productive toward any collective like movement for humanity. And I know that's like that's maybe a packed sentence, but it's the truth. And like just that we're spending time talking about it here too it's important though, because we're peeling back different kind of layers.
Yeah.
Like the drama is there. It will always be there.
Yeah,
but who's going to relate and overcome and see eye to eye with your opponent? That it's interesting, right?
Well, it's not going anywhere. That's the thing, right? I mean, people, it's turned into a huge entertainment entity almost. They love capturing the drama, and capitalizing on the division a little bit. And to Art's point, being in the same room, when I disagree with people about the Second Amendment or whatever it is, usually if we have a face-to-face conversation, it goes much more smoothly than it would over, let's say, a keyboard warrior situation, a tweet, an email, what have you.
That's right. Yeah.
But I also would say, I don't think we should bury our heads in the sand either. I talk to a lot of folks that, to your point, Art, I mean, it's not always going to be rainbows and butterflies. There is going to have to be some tough discussions at times, especially when we're talking about the future of the political state and things like that. A lot of folks just want to bury their head in the sand. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to talk about that. And that's fine. Then the folks that don't vote and don't get involved in their communities, I don't really, their opinion doesn't really matter to me, because it doesn't hold weight, because you're not actively involved with it. And I just feel like everybody now, and I'm sure, it's probably a little different down there in North Carolina. I don't know, Rob. I'm not sure what the state of that is, but out here in Denver, like we have, it's a very liberal state. I'm kind of a conservative guy, just trying to, get along with everybody and fit in, so to speak. But I get pretty stereotyped easily. Oh, this guy's a Trump supporter, this and that. It's like,
right.
Everyone just is so quick to be like, you must have voted for this guy. It's like, what led you to believe that? How did we get there?
They don't even know, Kev.
You know what I mean? So what's your thoughts, Rob?
Well, I would echo what you just said. I mean, that happens to me all the time because I have a ridiculous haircut. I don't know.
I think your hair looks fucking awesome, by the way.
Thank you so much. I tell you what, the funny thing is, I always wanted to have a mohawk my entire life. Since I was a kid. And when I retired from the Army, I'm like I am totally gonna have a mohawk. And
26 years in, you're like, it's fucking time.
That's right, it's time. It's going down right now. And then I realized, I did it myself, and I'm like, man, I could do this myself. I spent my whole life trying to find a barber like every week, and I don't have to do that anymore. So I cut my hair when I feel like it, if I feel like it, and I
Good
always
man.
cut it the same way. So this is what I've got. It's easy, it's simple. But when people see me with this mohawk or modified Ranger rug on my head,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people just
Ranger rug.
presume, yeah, it's a little bit taller than my, the little Ranger rug that I wore when I was a private. But I have talked to people who just were like, "Oh man, I just assumed you were really liberal." Not like it's a bad word, because my music tastes are a lot like my political leanings, and they're all over the place. And I don't care what anybody else says. I think for myself, I like what I like, I believe what I believe, and that's it. But I'm not particularly liberal when it comes to some things. I'm very liberal when it comes to other things. Just like I'm very conservative about about when it comes to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But none of us are doing ourselves or anybody else any favors when we presume, based on what somebody looks like.
Yeah. Well, and I would like
they
to
might think about certain issues. Sorry, go
I,
ahead.
I would like oh no, you're good. You were finishing a thought there. And this is just how video calls go. Like, look, if y'all didn't go through 2020, 2021, 2022, and like everyone's interrupting each other on video, this is just how it goes.
Right.
But look, I've been there. I'll admit to myself, I can only hold myself accountable. Yeah, I've judged some people based upon how they look, and I've gotten to know them, and I'm way off on my assumptions. And to assume anything is actually really ignorant, because to think that somebody based upon how they dress today, you know what I'm saying? But we've all done that, right? Like
You're
every
right.
single one of us has sat there and been like, oh, that look at that person who blah blah blah. You can tell by the way they look, and like if you would have actually talked to the person, so it's interesting. It is really interesting
Mm-hmm.
because it's an experience, and getting to know people of all different walks in lives and all this in life is a blessing, right? And to be humbled is a blessing, and to learn that you were wrong about your assumption is like a blessing, because then it helps you like ease the expectation a little bit. Like you can when you start learning that, you start realizing that I don't need to have judgment on others. Like, and then you find a peace there. But it's hard to maintain though. I'm kind of getting philosophical here. I mean,
I love it.
Don't mind me.
I love it. No, that's exactly. I mean, I think that what you just said is the way we would all like to think, everybody else would think. And that's being open to other ideas, and also being honest with ourselves, and being able to own up to when we've screwed something up. We did prejudge. We did make assumptions that were wrong, right? So I'm glad you brought that up, because when I just said that, people making assumptions about my haircut, ridiculous as it may be, like, it's true. I'm also completely guilty of that. I try every day and I fail all the time. But I'm trying to get better. And I'd like to think that, through the friends and, coworkers and, family that I have around me who will be honest with me and kind of call me out, that those moments where I get called out, reminded, not necessarily called out. It doesn't always have to be a punitive, like adversarial thing. I mean, that's a gift when people just point out and say, hey, I noticed a flaw in your thinking, and wow, you're really a dumbass when you just said X. I like that kind of direct talk. I like it when people can help me grow as a person. It does damage to us all when we go through our lives surrounded only by people who think exactly the way we think, because that's not really thinking. And that I think is largely the problem that we have today. I'm also part of that. And so, I think what you said and going to the philosophical realm is exactly where we need to go with, so many conversations in our personal lives, and maybe professional lives too. It gets risky, professionally and personally. There are consequences for everything, but I'd like to think that with every new year that passes by, and I get a little bit wiser, I get a little bit braver, and I can stand up to some of these perceived consequences, or consequences that I once perceived as dangerous consequences. That's not always the case.
That's true. And it's unrealistic to think that everything's going to be, peaches and cream all the time. I think that's something that I like to drive home a lot on this show. I always like to say that people will do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. And that can mean a lot of things, right? Specifically pertaining to this topic, folks like to stay in that box, like you mentioned, politically. Well, I'm only going to surround myself with gun toters and conservatives, and I don't want to hear the other side. Fingers in my ears. I don't want to hear about it, this and that, bury my head in the sand because this person's not worth my time. And I just think it's no good. So, and I've been guilty of that. When I first came out to Colorado in 2007, I came from a pretty small town, a conservative town. And I came out to Denver, a very cultural, diverse, liberal city. And it was kind of a culture shock for me. But it was also one of the best things that ever happened to me because I met Art, I met all these great guys that changed my perspective on things. Cause I was kind of that weird redneck outcast guy, if you will, that had these strong opinions, and surrounding yourself with people that have different opinions, I feel like has made me, just more lucrative and understand society better, and that's kind of when I changed my political affiliation, if you will, to libertarian. If people ask me where I stand, I'm kind of in the middle as a libertarian. I believe in personal choice, personal freedom. Let people do what they want to do, right? It's their business. As long as you're not hurting anybody else, let's kind of, button this thing up a little bit. But man, like we were saying, it's unfortunate that, here we are in 2023 and we still have people just so angry with each other over who they voted for, and they judge upon that alone. Well, yeah, you must be this because you voted for that person. It's unfortunate. That's where we're at. Yeah. I have optimism that it could come back the other way, and I hope it does. But we'll see, man.
Yeah. I'm worried about that. Sometimes my optimism, which, I used to characterize myself as an irrational optimist. Mm-hmm. That is to say, gosh, no matter how bad it is, my own personal situation in the moment, or, even on a global scale, like it'll be okay. I mean, that's not necessarily a rational way to be. But, it was what it was. And in many ways, I'm still largely the same way. But, I pay attention a lot more to myself and kind of my own flaws and thinking, and obviously I try to seek out the strengths in my own thinking as well. And I'd like to think that I do that when I think about how other people think and the decisions that they make as well, things that they say. But again, like I mentioned earlier, I fail at that every day. Every day.
I mean, it's delicate, isn't it? It's like one of those things, right? Yeah. And one thing that I've learned recently in life is that there are truly cycles, and I could easily go into a lot of depth and expose my emotions and all this other stuff. And I'm not afraid to do that. Like I do talk about that stuff. Just, we got to keep it a little bit more rapid on here, opposed to like going down that rabbit hole. So
right.
There are cycles, and there's multiple cycles that I've been through just this year. And it's not based on, the seasons and how the seasons change. It's not based on any of that. It's based on how I am feeling about myself, who I'm interacting with, and what those people mean to me. And within life, there are cycles, and when cycles change, things come and go. And that could mean people, that can mean emotions, cars, gifts, whatever it is. So one really healthy place that I've found is to accept that cycles exist and to do my best to recognize when a cycle is changing. Because if you try to stay stuck in the old cycle, you're identifying with the past, and the past is done. Like it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anymore. Like you could learn some lessons from it and reflect on it and hopefully, gain some personality off of that. But it really comes down to cycles. And ever since I started looking at life like that, which is pretty recent, it's been interesting because I've noticed some cycles beginning and ending, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta change things. Like I see, and that's maybe how I treat people. That might be who's in my circle, who I'm talking to more closely. It's just delicate because everyone feels so deeply and is affected by everything. Like our subconscious minds record everything in our lives, and that's senses, smells, thoughts, conversations, emotion, everything that's tied with everything. And so the more that you can be cognizant of what you're projecting, even the words you use, the subject matter or what you talk about affects people, right? And so I don't know. Here I am getting extra philosophical. Rob,
That's
what
great,
is
though,
it?
man.
What is it about your energy, Rob? Like you are pulling these deeper conversations out of the DCPC host tonight.
Man.
There's something about your energy, man. I swear to God.
You're very kind. I don't know, man. I don't think it's my energy. I think it's you guys' vibe. I've been playing off of, and I dig that. This is meaningful stuff. We started talking about music, and I mean, I agree with so many things that you guys said. We could probably do another hour just on that, but it is the literal. Okay, I used that word wrong. I'm trying to fix that about myself. I've said that too many times in the last
Literal.
week. Literal. It's literally.
You're overusing literally.
So it's not literally. It is metaphorically. It is
Absolutely.
absolutely. It is kind of the pipeline to reaching people's souls, breaking down barriers that people set up. It certainly served that purpose for me. I don't know. I think that us kicking off with that particular topic and maybe the direction that we went, man, just kind of got us here. But I'm so thankful that we did, because this is good stuff.
So I got something, Kevin, and I swear I'm gonna pass it off to you here.
Oh, you're good. I'm enjoying this.
This is like every single week. I'm like, am I taking up too much mic time? No. So fucking okay. The music. All right. This is why it's so important. Is because when you are creating, you're in the music, and I'll relate this to layering drums, kicks, snares, your leads, like digitally, right? Because I used to make music digitally. I'll put everything together and in an order, and there would be a moment where I would come up with the melody that was the song melody, and it was hitting to the snare, it was hitting to the drums, and all of a sudden I'm like, that's it, and I'm like feeling this. And what that all speaks to, why that is such a powerful moment, is because an artist who is creating, or if you're journaling and you're writing your journal and you're loving that moment, or you're cooking and you love cooking for your family and you're adding that right spice to and you're smelling the shit and you're like, God, this smells delicious. Like you're in the moment, and being present in life is so important. And I'm a broken record. I'm broken on the right part, and focusing on the now, living in the present, having this conversation, having one of my very best friends to my right, having Rob in his bitchin' fucking studio in North Carolina, and like having these conversations. Like right now, I love this. And that is what music does when you create it and when you play it and display it and people feel it. Like it's that kind of energy where it's all in the moment, and that is the now. That is life. This is life right now.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
That's one thing that I miss about it, man. You know, just thinking about that brought me back to writing songs with Jamie again. One of the coolest things I remember about playing music and being in that moment that you speak of is when we were just playing a riff, right? I'll just start strumming a DCG progression, right? And then I can look at my lead guitar player and we can just see, okay, it's time to go to a bridge or a chorus or something, and we both go to an A or an F progression, and we hit that perfectly. It's like, oh yeah, we just struck gold there,
and sublime, bro.
It's so good, and like we'll start laughing, we just start cracking up. We're like, all right, let's do that again. Those are the moments that are my favorite about writing music, especially collaborating with other tremendous musicians.
Gosh, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I'll tell you this, on the subject of, making and playing music with other people, even if it's not an original song, playing a cover of whatever, in that moment, when you share that moment and the energy is just right, and there's an element of danger, which I love, because you can tell everybody feels that there's a change that has to happen. But where do you go, right? For a drummer, it might be a little bit easier because I'm not having to worry about, which chord I go to next. But when that happens and everybody's just kind of just synced up, it's magical. I mean, it's magical. And
So
yeah, I'm so lucky I have a lot of people in my life that I play music with or whose music I appreciate. And when you're in that moment and experience it with them, or you see them experience it with the other people they're sharing the stage with, my gosh, it's just fantastic, man.
It is. It's truly electrifying for sure. And that's kind of been the theme of all this, is just music. It continues to bring people together. Like, that's how we led into Oliver Anthony discussion. And music is always going to be a part of us. And there's always going to be more music to come, right? There's always new songs that are going to be written, and it, continues to change, even though the retro stuff's coming back, country music's changing, and rock and roll has its ebb and flows, the cycles of music. I think it's great. But
that's right.
One thing I did want to ask you, Rob, because I was doing a little research on you before I came on here. And I heard you're an expert dog petter.
That's so funny. I totally am an expert dog petter.
How long did it take you to get that certification?
Yeah, I want to know what kind of training goes into this.
I'm trying to get that one.
I'm not so sure.
You pay me $100 an hour. You're like, you pay me $100 an hour, I'll pet your dog.
I like Denver. I like that dog. Dude, yeah.
No, that's just hilarious.
Highly guarded secrets. I can't divulge everything.
That's fair.
Even though
we'll take that off, Mike.
Strangely drawn to both of you. Okay, sounds good.
We'll take that
That's
one
hilarious.
Off, Mike. Yeah, that's off the record.
Yeah, we're gonna put a pin in it.
My friend Chelsea, it just reminded me. My friend Chelsea, just remarked about a shirt that I was wearing that said that, and I don't know if you saw that.
What did it say? What did your shirt say?
Some of the old Bones Fork T-shirt or pictures. I'm wearing a T-shirt that says "Novice Ninja," and then down below that, it's fine print. It says "Expert Dog Petter." I totally am an expert dog petter. My technique is all over the place, but I tell you what, I feel like animals are, especially dogs, I mean, they're just the best. I've read this so many times on social media that we just don't deserve them. I think that's so true in a lot of ways. We have 3 dogs here. They're upstairs. I don't know if I got my headphones on, so I don't know if you could hear them.
We haven't heard any nails scratching around.
No woof woofs or scratching. No.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, because there'll be consequences. No, just kidding. We got 3 dogs here. We love them. We have a lot. We've had dogs forever. We always have dogs here.
I love it.
How about you guys?
No, dogs changed my life. I worked at a doggy daycare for way too long because of how epic it was. Look, that's a cliff note on what we were talking about. There is one thing, and I'm happy you brought that up because that's fucking hilarious, by the way. It's just
fantastic.
Hilarious. But to come back into the music and the movement of people and coming together, and making that connection, right? Because when you leave the concert, you leave the stage, and there's this undeniable energy. Everyone's having the best time. Everyone loves each other. We're like, that show, we experienced that together. We can all do that while we're at the grocery stores, though. Here, that's the thing, is because you can love life as much as you love music or how music makes you feel. Like, I've been through the stuff. Like, a lot of people have been through a lot of things. Maybe I choke my demons out more than other people do. Maybe I suffocate those motherfuckers more. But I appreciate life so much.
I like that.
And so when I'm in grocery stores, like, I'm loving my moment, I'm loving life, and you can almost identify people who are in joy, like they are being, and they are enjoying life, and that is music to me. Because you'll, like, even if it's not, you don't even have to have a conversation with the person. It can literally be like, okay, so I walk often on Cherry Creek Trail, and there's this one lady out there. She's older than me, but she's always jogging. She's always getting it. Like, every single time, I swear to God, she's like out there like 6 out of 10 times that I'm out there. And then one day I point at her, because I know she recognized me at this point. I point at her and I'm like, hey, I'm like, good job. I see you always out here getting it, right? And then she's like, I see you out here getting it too. She runs right by me, right? She's gone. I'm a walker. She's a runner. So she ends up passing me again on the way back. And she's like, this is my drug of choice. She like yells at me. She got this huge ass cheese eating grin on her fucking face, running by me. And I'm just like, that's one of those quick moments where it's just like, all right, we've related. Like, we see each other, like we're,
It's a connection, man.
Yeah. So beyond music, and music does bring us together. Like, I'm not trying to discount that, but it's beyond music.
Mhm.
Like, the connection that we all have, just like we all love petting dogs.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, it's not, maybe it's not music itself, although there is something special about music. There's also something special about dogs. But when you have a connection with somebody who's just feeling joy, also when you have a connection with someone who you just tell, and it's not just, empaths that pick up on this. So when somebody's really having somebody's struggling, but you pick up on that, maybe you say something, maybe you don't, but there was a connection, or maybe I'm using the wrong terminology. There was about to be a connection, and maybe you have misgivings after you keep going, get in your car and go home or whatever, but there was a chance for a connection. Maybe it's just that there's something intrinsic about enjoying music, enjoying other living beings like dogs, and the particular topic that we happen to be talking about. Maybe it's that thing that is interwoven through all of life, and it's just our job to find that and then try and capitalize on it, and connect. That's special. I don't know.
I think that's well said, for sure, because it looks different for everybody. Everyone's going to have a different go about it. I mean, dogs definitely, of course, man's best friend. Canines, incredible creatures. So people like the felines. Personally, I'm a fish guy. I have African cichlids. I love my fish. I go home and watch them swim around. It's fantastic. I put the tunes on. They start splish splashing, taking a bath. I mean, it's just tremendous. Those are the kind of things that I like, as far as pets go. And I'm not home often enough to really own a canine. But at some point, when I get a backyard and get to where I want to be, yeah, you bet. I'm gonna have me probably a golden retriever or two. I like those pups. They bring value to life. They're tremendous animals.
Yeah.
So, Rob, did you listen to a full episode? Like, beginning to end? Have you listened to the end of any of our episodes?
I have not listened to the ending of any of the episodes. No, but I got pieces.
Excellent.
That's good.
So you don't know what's about to come then. That's what's happening.
He doesn't know what's about to happen.
No, Kev, you put this one on.
Okay. All right. Well, Rob, we're going to put you on the spot here. Okay. Because we ask every guest. I mean, 224 episodes we've done now. And it's on you right now to tell the people, if you could offer one piece of advice that would better humanity tomorrow, what would that be?
Goodness. I'm trying to think of something that I'm not just going to layer a bunch of conjunctions and
Take your time.
really
Man. Take your
turn
time.
one thing into 7 things.
Yep.
Masquerading
No
is one thing.
You can. Some people do a sentence. Some people do a paragraph. Like it's okay.
Okay. So this truly is off the cuff. And I'm going to say something that I just saw on a documentary I just watched on a plane heading from home to Oahu. And I think the movie was called Detroit Burning. It was a firefighter who was just asked, why do you keep doing this? After the interviewer had just kind of rattled off a bunch of things about Detroit at this particular time in history, where things were just so bad. Crime was high. 7 out of 10, homes were burned out, boarded up, and Detroit was burning. And the majority of it was because of arson. And so this fire department, Detroit FD, who had been cut in personnel by a third or half at that point, and this is an older gentleman who had been fighting a lot of fire throughout his life, was asked, why do you continue doing this? Why are you still doing this? And he just said, a man who doesn't try to make the world a little bit better, like, what are they doing? What are you doing? So any person, I would say, who has the capacity to make the world a little bit better, even if that's just self-improvement, do that. Get out there and do it. It's something I still struggle with all the time, but I'm trying. And I would just say that if people did that, we'll get back on track. That's what my answer is.
No, that's a serious one. I like to envelop my emotions I like to be present, and that was a moving quote, and for multiple reasons. To hold yourself to an expectation to be better, to help others, that's tough. Like I don't want to quit some days, like that. But then also that you're even in a mentality to where you're considering how you can make other people's lives better. And everyone's different. Like, that person was fighting fires. Maybe you do it with music. You do it by being open. Whatever it is, whoever's listening, watching, we all have our different purpose to help this planet become better. We don't all do it the same way. And to even consider how you can individually impact the globe to make it a better place than it was when you were born, and now you're leaving and it's better because of you. That's heavy, and I feel that. I think that's really good advice. I think it's good, and even if it's from a movie, to be able to highlight that, quote that, and put it out there, that's still important, man. So I like that a lot. I do. Kev?
Yeah, I mean, solid advice for sure. And some of my favorite quotes come from movies, man. When I think back on all the films that I've watched, there's a lot of things that stand out to me, some Christopher Walken quotes and things of that nature. So great advice for humanity. We got kind of deep and philosophical on this one, but it's always good to do that, I feel like, and have these therapy sessions. I like to refer to them as every Wednesday. I feel like I get to come have a therapy session and just kind of air it out and have a good conversation with people. Rob Dufrense, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, of course. And this is kind of the portion of the program where plug everything you want, man. And for our listeners and viewers, they know, just scroll down to get in touch with Rob. Everything's gonna be in the show notes. Where do they go, brother?
Oh man, thank you so much. Gosh, this is actually the test question. Okay. So a song that I care about deeply, and I'm very happy and thankful to have been a part of it. Written by Jason Houck and Tony Barnes. It's called Hold On, Reach Out. It's a song that they wrote, and luckily they brought it to Pine Gap Audio, our studios, and we recorded it right here in the studio that I'm in right now. It is designed to raise funding and awareness in the fight against suicide in the military and veteran communities. Notably, I'll just say that we know that it's not the only demographic who's suffering from the scourge of suicide. You got first responders, you have, sadly, even more sadly, children these days. At least it seems as though that's becoming more of a thing, and we have to figure that out. We all have to figure that out. So this song is just one way, and it's a 4-minute song. You can't possibly say everything that you feel about a particular topic in the confines of a song, but Hold On, Reach Out is the song. Go to holdonreachoutsong.com. And it's never been easier to kind of help join in the fight for any cause. Not everybody has money, especially right now, to donate to a cause, but the songwriters are not asking for money. They won't accept your money. They are trying to direct people to the nonprofits who are doing that work already and having a lot of success in it. But
So really quickly,
can,
just while we're talking about, it sounds like, just based on the title alone, that hold on, like, hold on through the pain, hold on through the depression, hold on through the misery. And for the people that aren't necessarily holding on, reach out, see how somebody's doing. Is that kind of the premise of the song?
All right, you nailed it. That's right. We are asking people who are at risk and having troubles. I was one of those guys not that long ago, and just hold on. We would like them to reach out to people, because it's hard to know when people are having troubles, because we all have this facade that we put up. That's part of the human condition. That's what we do. We want them to reach out, but definitely for those who are not at risk, you never know which one of your friends or acquaintances do need help. So yeah, by all means, reach out. And man, it's just never been easier to contribute to a cause. If you have no money, you have no time. Everybody listens to music. If you listen to this song, maybe it'll lead to you sharing that song, having a conversation with somebody that you care about, somebody that might be at risk, and you are helping. And so any, the profits and all that, the majority of all that is being given directly to the nonprofits out there who are already working in that space and having success. And I guess that's what I want to plug. I'm in so many different bands and have so many different musician friends. I would like to.
We'll put your Instagrams. We'll put all that in there. We could do some research, but just like 99 Hearts, a company that we work, a nonprofit that we work closely with for suicide prevention for vets. I mean, Nate doing the dog stuff. Well, that's not Nate. That's Cade, who is doing the dog stuff. It's really important. A lot of people are struggling out there, and we would be selling ourselves short here at Discussion Combustion if we didn't put that in bold. So yeah, thanks for what you're doing with that and bringing some attention to that subject. It's an important reminder. Not everyone's doing good. Not everyone's doing good right now.
No, absolutely.
Right.
And I'm curious to listen to that too, and I'm gonna give it a listen for sure. After I get done showing art to Oliver Anthony here, once we wrap up, of course. That'll be next on the playlist. Yeah, that's gonna have to happen. So yeah, man, we'll definitely end this thing on a positive note, man. It was just a pleasure spending the last over hour with you, drinking a beer. What were you drinking, by the way? We never got to the bottom. What'd you have in your glass?
Oh yeah, that's right. So I have Proper 12, some some Irish whiskey in my glass, but I also I gotta plug this. So Southern Pines Brewing Company, one of my favorite beers in the world, Hefeweizen. They're like a half mile away from my house, and I love those guys. They're also helping in the fight that I just mentioned, and I know you guys are too. I can't thank you enough for having me on, and what a great conversation. I could do this. I mean, are we going to do this tomorrow or what? Let's.
Well,
I'll break my calendar out. I'll just.
You have a great energy about you, man. No, if you were here,
you guys
trust. No, you're going to be back on
the couch.
Yeah, you're coming on the
All
couch
right,
this time.
man.
Over there.
Yeah, that's right.
Get AIS ass in seat over there.
All right, I like that.
Pleasure talking with you though, man. We're about to hit stop on this. We're gonna keep talking though for a minute. Don't get off this call.
Okay.
So yeah, we're about to hit stop on this. We love everybody. To all the new subscribers, we appreciate your support. To all the old timers, you know, y'all are our dogs, and please be good to yourselves.
You know you deserve it. We'll see you tomorrow on Happy Friday, America.